Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on historic Market Street. I hope you had a great time, maybe at Glass Fest over the weekend or just a nice Memorial Day. We've got a lot of catching up to do, a lot to cover, and I hope that you'll be a part of it. You see the number on the bottom of your screen. You can reach out at any time. Let's go to some viewer comments after Friday's broadcast. Great interview with Joe. Thank you. Well, thank you. Joe Sempolinski, former congressman, current assemblyman, was on the program on Friday. Always informative when Joe is on. If you missed it, it is on currently up on YouTube. Comment from Rick. This was on Sunday, so Sunday afternoon. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Rick. Well, the big bad bill made it through the House as predicted. Let's see if the Senate can water it down some more. A lot of people that need Medicaid, that receive it legally, will lose it. Trump doesn't care who gets their benefits removed as long as he hits his number. Almost $4 trillion more in debt. Markets aren't hip hooraying it. Donald is hosting a big crypto dinner tonight. A lot of foreign investors will be there looking for favors. Is that legal? Trump will get away with it. He is the biggest crook on the face of the earth. Trump would never do favors for foreign entities for investing in Trump Bitcoin, would he? What is wrong with Harvard hosting international students? You know, Trump and his goon squad are just going way too far, slowly but surely imposing authoritarian law and a dictatorship. Wow. This is not legal for Trump and the goon squad telling Harvard and other institutions that what they can and cannot do. This is all about students voicing their opinion, which they have a right to do. Trump doesn't like anyone but him having freedom. Every day it's more and more, we'll say, baloney with these guys. I feel sorry about the 2 Israeli kids that got shot in D.C., and I feel sorry for the 1,500 Israeli lives lost and slaughtered on October 7th. I also feel sorry for the tens of thousands of Palestinians being slaughtered and starved daily. Hamas needs to give up the rest of the hostages and get the heck out of Gaza. And at the same time, Israel needs to stop flattening the place. I can't believe the world lets this blank go on. I haven't watched any news yet this morning. I'm almost scared to. That was Rick. Thank you, Rick. Comment from a different viewer. As President Trump delivered his address to West Point graduates, I could have almost cried from relief that our great and sovereign country is finally back on track again under his leadership. Thank you very much for the comments. All right, a couple breaking stories on a sad note. I believe it was Saturday or Sunday evening that we learned that Duck Dynasty star Phil Robertson had passed away at the age of 79. Now, he had been dealing with a lengthy health battle and Alzheimer's disease. So according to Phil's daughter-in-law, Corey, thank you for the love and prayers of so many whose lives have been impacted by his life, saved by grace by his bold faith. and by his desire to tell everyone who would listen the good news of Jesus. We know so many of you love him and have been impacted by his life. We're having a private service for now, but we'll share details soon about a public celebration of his life. Now, Phil Robertson was the gray, beard-covered face of Duck Dynasty with the A&E reality show, premiered all the way back in 2012 until it ran until 2017. The show was a massive must-watch hit right out of the gate. It was a fun program. I remember everyone talking about it at the time. It was the most watched nonfiction cable series in the history of America. They loved the Robertson clan. His granddaughter, Sadie, who is also one of the stars of the program, tweeted out yesterday, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come." 2 Corinthians 5:17. As I was sitting with Pawpaw Phil today, I thought about this verse. He has already experienced this on earth, going from dead to alive by the power of Christ. Looking back at how Phil created the Duck Commander Hunting Company, spearheaded the family onto A&E, the reality star added, "It was his testimony that changed his life, our family's life, and thousands of others. Now he's experiencing it in the fullness. Fully alive in Christ, the new has come." She concluded, "One of the last things he said to me was, 'Full strength ahead.' Amen." Passing away again at the age of 79. And of course, just to show you how really rotten the media can be, Huffington Post took the opportunity of the passing of Phil Robertson to smear Phil Robertson. They see someone that is a conservative, a Christian. And so, of course, the obituary in a far-left outlet like Huffington Post is going to be negative. They smeared Phil Robertson as a spreader of, quote, homophobic hate. Phil Robertson, Duck Dynasty star who spread homophobic hate, dead at 79, read the headline. That was the headline. They accused Robertson of having, quote, stirred controversy with his anti-gay rhetoric. The article goes on to cite the Duck Dynasty star describing, quote, homosexual behavior as a sin. It also mentions Robertson publicly backing President Trump in the 2020 and 2024 election, as well as the reality TV personality's support for Senator Ted Cruz. It went on to recall Robertson speaking at a Cruz campaign event where he lamented the left's efforts at, quote, redefining marriage and telling us that marriage is not between a man and a woman, suggesting that sharing these these conventional sentiment is somehow an act of spreading hate. So saying those words to the Huffington Post is spreading hate. Leave it to the Huffington Post to take an opportunity of someone passing to stoke hatred. Now, Reverend Franklin Graham gave a heartfelt tribute to Phil Robertson, saying in a social media post, "Please join me in praying for Miss Kay and all of the Robertson family as Phil Robertson has passed away. Now he is in the presence of his Lord and Savior. I always appreciated that Phil stood firm with the Word of God and took every opportunity to talk about his faith in Jesus Christ. He and some of his family came to encourage the wounded veterans and their spouses at our Samaritan's Purse operation, Heal Our Patriots program in Alaska back in 2014. And he came to the Billy Graham Library to speak on 2 occasions. There's no question he will be greatly missed. May God especially comfort all of his family during this time." So Phil Robertson passing away at the age of 79. Now, also on some breaking news, this coming in late yesterday, ex-representative, you may remember this name, Charlie Rangel, has passed away at the age of 94. He was a Harlem political institution who spent his life in public service, from the Korean War to becoming the first African-American to chair the influential House Ways and Means Committee. His influence could still be felt today, said Hakeem Jeffries. The Lion of Lenox Avenue was a transformational force of nature, Hakeem Jeffries wrote on X. Harlem, New York City, and America are better today because of his service. May he forever rest in power. Now, Rangel was first elected to Congress all the way back in 1970. During his tenure, Rangel was part of the Gang of Four, a legendary political coalition from Harlem. It was former Mayor David Dinkins, former Manhattan Bureau President Percy Sutton, and former State Senator Basil Patterson was the Gang of Four. The City College of New York and Harlem, which named its School of Public Service after Rangel, posted a statement online announcing his death on Memorial Day and deeming him a champion for Big Apple constituents. Quote, he served for 23 terms in the House of Representatives and was cited as the most effective lawmaker in Congress, leading all of his colleagues in passing legislation. Rangel's illustrious career was tarnished by ethics scandals, if you recall at the time, and accusations reported by, in this case, the New York Post. Rangel had owned a beachfront village in a sunny Dominican Republic resort, but failed to report his income from it. That expose included an infamous front page photo of Rangel sleeping while basking in the sun, if you remember that. Infamous, I guess you'll say, picture. A House panel convicted Rangel on ethics charges after a 2-year investigation found he repeatedly broke rules, dodged taxes, concealed assets, and misused his position to raise money for the City College Center that bears his name. Despite his pleas for leniency at the time, his House colleagues overwhelmingly voted to censor him, a rare step only taken 28 times in the legislative body's more than 200 years. The move involves a public vote of condemnation by the chamber, although those censored keep all of their powers as House members. He eventually retired from Congress, and this is hard to believe, back in 2017. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo characterized Rangel as a giant in every sense. Oh, wow, I'm missing all these waves coming in. Governor Hochul has declared flags to fly at half-mast, saying Charlie was a powerful voice in government and politics. And we remember him today for not only leading his life as a public servant of this great state, but also for his dedicated service to our military in the Korean War. A fierce advocate for equal opportunity and a voice for Harlem, Representative Rangel's legacy shows us that what we can accomplish as determined legislators. My thoughts are with all who loved him. There you are, Charlie Rangel passing away at the age of 94. We have some other breaking stories that we will get to during the program, not just on the national level, but also at the state level that we'll be talking about here in just a little bit. And later on in the program, we're going to be hearing from the World Heritage Student Exchange Program. Our friend Elisa is going to be joining us. She was on last week to tell us about Miss Colonial Days, which is not too late to register. But now she's going to be telling us about World Heritage Student Exchanges, about foreign exchange students and how you can get a student for next year's school year. Now is the time to plan ahead on that. We're also going to hear from student Emma Lamontagne. She's from France, and she's going to be a part of that interview with her host family, Aaron and Amanda Manchester. So that'll be coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. You won't want to miss that. I know we had a busy week last week with so many guests. It'll be nice to continue that. I believe we have a few guests lined up for this week that you're really going to enjoy. We've got other breaking stories. When we come back, we are just getting started. It feels good to be back after a long weekend. Thanks for joining us. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
Scamming is a huge problem today. Worldwide, seniors lost $4.8 billion to scammers in 2024. The Steuben County Office for the Aging is here to help. Come to our seminar, Recognizing and Avoiding Financial Scams, Wednesday, June 4th at the Main Place in Hornell, New York from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Learn how to identify scams, how to protect yourself, and fraud watch tips. Also, the Steuben County Office for the Aging will provide tips on emergency preparedness, June 4th at 12 p.m. To learn more, go to SteubenCountyNY.gov/235.
When you think swimming pools, think Hesselson's. Hesselson's offers expert advice, professional service, and a complete line of chemicals and accessories. Replacement liners, motors and pumps, automatic vacuums, skimmers, ladders, steps, and more. Hesselson's has it all. Do you have a chemical question? Come in for Hesselson's free computerized water analysis and the widest selection of chlorine and specialty chemicals. With Hesselson's help, you can clean up any pool problem and swim in sparkling clean water. Let Hesselson's show you how easy it can be to take care of your swimming pool. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Migraine strikes. Do you question the trade-offs of treating? Ubrelvy is another option. It works fast, and most have migraine pain relief within 2 hours. You can treat it anytime, anywhere. Tell your doctor all medicines you take. Don't take if allergic or with strong CYP3A4 inhibitors. Get help right away for allergic reactions like trouble breathing, face, mouth, tongue, or throat swelling, which may occur hours to days after. Side effects include nausea and sleepiness. Migraine pain relief starts with you. Learn how AbbVie.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. We've got a comment from Mark. Well, good morning, Mark. I see Trump wants to stop Harvard from recruiting foreign students as they make up 31% of their student body. Yes, we are going to talk a little bit about that. I don't have a lot of updates, but we will get to that in a moment. First, breaking yesterday, the FBI has announced a new probe into the Dobbs Supreme Court leak, something that has completely fallen by the wayside, something that we discussed at the time, I believe, well, that was on radio, but the need to find out who leaked that information, because it set a very scary precedent. It also was someone leaking it to potentially scare the justices into making a different decision. Also, there's a new probe by the FBI into the White House cocaine incident. The FBI will launch new probes into the 2023 discovery of cocaine at the White House during President Joe Biden's term, and the 2022 leak of the Supreme Court's draft opinion overturning Roe v. Wade. Dan Bongino, a right-wing, how do you like that? A right-wing, this is how Reuters words it, a right-wing podcaster turned FBI deputy director made the announcement on X. I will add that he was on actual traditional radio, not just a podcaster. The discovery of a small bag of cocaine in a cubby near the entrance of the West Wing 2 years ago drew excited commentary from Republicans, including then Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, who said it was implausible that drugs could belong to anyone beyond Biden and his son Hunter, even though the Biden family was away from Washington at the time. A White House spokesperson said that the allegations were incredibly irresponsible. The publication of the Supreme Court's opinion ending the constitutional right to abortion in Politico on May 2nd, 2022, provoked condemnation from Trump, who called the source of the leak slime and demanded that the journalists involved be imprisoned until they revealed who it was. Previous investigations into both cases by the Secret Service and the Supreme Court ended without identifying who was responsible for the cocaine or for the leak. Bongino has previously alleged, without presenting any evidence, that he was in touch with whistleblowers who told him they were suspicious that evidence from the White House cocaine bag could match a member of the inner Biden circle. So a lot of people, whatever you think about investigating the cocaine incident, that's fine. But I think the Dobbs leak is very important to get to the bottom of that because it did set such a scary precedent and also was done in a way to intimidate justices. Now, it did not work, but you can see where this could be misused in the future. Also, we're not going to talk about this too much, but this is making the rounds this morning in the news cycle where Emmanuel Macron got shoved in the face, I guess you could say, by his wife, Bridget. Bridget appearing to forcefully shove the face of her husband, French President Emmanuel Macron, as they arrived in Vietnam. The shocking moment was just the latest in a relationship that has been fraught with scandal. If you're not familiar, The head of the state was just 15 years old, the age of consent in France, in 1993 when he met Bridget, a 39-year-old high school teacher, at the school that Macron was attending. He preferred spending his time talking with the teachers rather than his classmates. It was reported at the time. Bridget's family found out about the affair in the summer of 1994 after they caught the two of them sunbathing around the pool at the home of the teacher's aging parents, according to a biography of France's First Lady. Now, we don't have to go through all of this, but the video shows very clearly a shocked Emmanuel Macron as he just gets shoved in the face as the door is opening, and then he has to turn around and start waving as if nothing happened. I'm sure hoping very much that it was not caught on camera, but it was caught on camera. So there's nothing more to report on than just that. In a statement, Emmanuel tried to downplay the incident with Bridget, saying he was squabbling and rather joking with his wife, adding everyone needs to, quote, calm down, end quote. All right. And there is absolutely no way to segue into this story from those stories that I brought to you, but I know that we have some hot dog eating contest fans out there. This became quite a hot topic on last year's program for some reason, and it received a lot of comments. Well, Joey Chestnut revealed yesterday if he expects to compete at Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Now, Chestnut says he would want to come back, but he doesn't expect to get a call to return to the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. If they came back with a similar terms we were talking about last year, I would definitely consider it. I'd work with them to make sure there weren't any conflicts with other sponsors. But honestly, I don't think they want to go down that route. And yeah, it's a bummer. I love that contest. Now, in full disclosure, I had the pleasure of interviewing, I think, Joey, at least two times, maybe three times, after his historic wins. Now, last year, it was revealed that Chestnut would not be competing in the Nathan's contest due to a argument he was having with them, and that he had been offered $200,000 to compete in last year's contest, along with a $1.2 million 4-year contract going forward. Chestnut said that I still don't know exactly where our relationship stands, and that he was really surprised about the reaction to his partnership with Impossible Foods. The partnership with Impossible Foods had been to promote Meatless Mondays, an initiative that encourages people to try plant-based alternatives, and is something that Chestnut said he takes part in. It was for Mondays for people who aren't even eating meat, he said, of the partnership at the time. Chestnut, the world's greatest eater, had competed in the contest 16 times, which included winning every year from 2016 until last year, where he did not compete. He holds the record for most dogs and buns eaten with 76 during the 2021 contest. I had interviewed him the first time. It was that year after he had lost, and you could hear really the depression in his voice, and then he went back on to that winning streak. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about Memorial Day when we come back. Those are just some of your breaking news stories. I see some comments coming in, so stay with us. As I said, in the 7 o'clock hour, we'll be talking with representatives from World Heritage Student Exchange. So if you're interested in becoming a host family for a foreign exchange student, you're not going to want to miss it, and I appreciate them being on the program. We're going to hear from student Emma Lamontagne. She is from France, and we're going to hear her journey here in the United States, because her time together with her host family, Aaron and Amanda Manchester, is nearly coming to an end as the school year wraps up. All right, stay with us. Read your comments when we come back. This is Frankly Speaking on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
From laminate and vinyl to tile and wood, Floor & Decor has more options for pros, homeowners, and anyone looking for the right look at the right price. Your next beautiful space is at Floor & Decor.
I would never forget the picture that I have. I'm the only one that's not smiling. Even though I'm with my close friends, I felt alone. I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel confident. When I got Invisalign, I built my confidence. It was the best investment that I could do.
type 2 diabetes, but I manage it well. It's a little pill with a big story to tell. I take once daily Jardiance at each day start. As time went on, it was easy to see I'm lowering my A1C.
And for adults with type 2 diabetes and known heart disease, Jardiance can lower the risk of cardiovascular death too.
Serious side effects include increased ketones in blood or urine, which can be fatal. Stop Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, trouble breathing, or increased ketones. Jardiance may cause dehydration that can suddenly worsen kidney function and make you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or weak upon standing. Genital yeast infections in men and women, urinary tract infections, low blood sugar, or a rare life-threatening bacterial infection between and around the anus and genitals can occur. Call your doctor right away if you have fever or feel weak or tired and pain, tenderness, swelling, or redness in the genital area. Don't use if allergic to Jardiance. Stop use if you have a serious allergic reaction. Call your doctor if you have rash, swelling, difficulty breathing, or swallowing. You may have increased risk for lower limb loss. Call your doctor right away if you have new pain or tenderness, sores, ulcers, or infection in your legs or feet.
Jardiance is really swell, the little pill with a big...
Our beautiful view of historic Marcus Street in the Gafford District. That view brought to you by Boss Security. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. Frankly, yesterday was a beautiful Memorial Day. Mine was one of 2 houses flying the flag, and I was one of the 0.2% of Corning's population attending the excellent 11 a.m. ceremony at the statue on Park Avenue. Our citizens' apparent apathy or lack of interest is sorrowful. I don't know how big of a turnout was at the Field of Flags here during Glassfest, but I saw some coverage of it, and it looked like a very nice ceremony. Trump sent a Memorial Day message, tweeting out, or putting on Truth Social, I should say, "Happy Memorial Day to all, including the scum that spent the last 4 years trying to destroy our country through warped radical left minds who allowed 21 million people to illegally enter our country, many of them being criminals and the mentally insane, through an open border that only an incompetent president would approve, and through judges who are on a mission to keep murderers, drug dealers, rapists, gang members, and release prisoners from all over the world in our country so they can rob, murder, and rape again." The president continued, "All protected by these USA-hating judges who suffer from an ideology that is sick and very dangerous for our country. Hopefully, the United States Supreme Court and other good and compassionate judges throughout the land will save us from the decisions of the monsters who want our country to go to, we'll say, heck." Now, Melania Trump released a short statement on Memorial Day saying each life lost, or let me take a step back. "As we remember our heroes, let us not only mourn their loss, but also celebrate their bravery. Each life lost serves as a poignant reminder of the price paid for our rights and the values we hold dear," with a hashtag Memorial Day. Now, Trump did end his tweet, I should say, saying again, "Happy Memorial Day and God bless America." Now, during the ceremony, I wanted to mention this real quickly because Mayor Bill Boland sent me a copy of his speech for the Memorial Day ceremony here in Corning, the one that's at Riverfront Park. He commented that he had been invited to give remarks at every one during his tenure as mayor, and he said, "It's been my honor to do so. Each year I've offered some iteration of the remarks that I'm about to read here on the program. As this is my final year as mayor and my last participation in this solemn ceremony, I thought I'd share my remarks more broadly and invite you to extend how you honor this profound day of remembrance." So this is the remarks by Mayor Bill Boland for the Memorial Day ceremony at Riverfront Park here in Corning on the 25th. And I quote from his speech, "Today we pause from our busy lives to remember those who died in the line of duty. Today we set aside time to remember the real lives lost and the battle for the lives we now have. Today we revisit the deaths of those who gave their lives so that we might have what they never would, full of family, friends, work, and those days of spring. Today, we take this occasion to reflect on war and the price they have paid in the currency of lost youth. Today, we are called to examine sacrifice and how that word has become so real for so many of those now gone. Today, with our eyes on their lives lost, we reflect on the liberty they have purchased and how that liberty challenges us to do better, be better, come together, be together. Today, as the green of approaching summer bathes our trees and fields, so too do the green fields of graves call us to be worthy as citizens of this great land and generous to one another. Today, to honor those who laid down their lives as they would surely have us do. Let us commit to each other to embrace our shared humanity and engage our differences with respect, humility, and compassion. Today, we recall the words, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." In that spirit, we are invited to love more openly, more intentionally, more fully. And today, let us agree to assemble again next year, wherever we are, to keep our duty to those fallen and gone, that they always, always, always be remembered by us, the living. May God keep their souls gently. May God keep our souls thankful and giving. That's Mayor Bill Bolin in his last speech at the Memorial Day ceremony as mayor. Now, it was commented on earlier about Harvard. Mark had mentioned it. President Trump said Monday he wants to take $3 billion in federal grants away from what he calls a very anti-Semitic Harvard University. And he also ripped into them for not handing over a full list of its foreign students to identify radicalized lunatics, as he put it. Quote, "I'm considering taking $3 billion of grant money away from a very anti-Semitic Harvard and giving it to trade schools all across our land. What a great investment that would be for the United States, and so badly needed." So this continues, or maybe you could say escalates, the fight that Trump is having with Harvard, and rightfully so. We've seen Harvard president take a 25% pay cut to again, and we talked about this on the program Friday with Joe Sempolinski. I just don't understand it, because the optics, or at least what it says to me, is you're willing to take a pay cut so that you can prove or encourage these anti-Semitic protesters, these pro-Hamas protesters. Again, Harvard showing that they are standing firm with the anti-Semitic protesters. They support wholeheartedly, to the point of taking a salary cut, the anti-Semitic protesters. "We are still waiting for the foreign student list from Harvard so that we can determine, after a ridiculous expenditure of billions of dollars, how many radicalized lunatics, troublemakers, all should not be let back into our country," he tweeted. Harvard is very slow in the presentation of these documents, and probably for good reason. The best thing Harvard has going for it is that they have shopped around and found the absolute best judge for them. But have no fear, the government will, in the end, win. So we will be watching that fight closely. Now, Harvard law professor Lawrence Tribe was on MSNBC yesterday getting that lucrative spot during Memorial Day. He was asked by host Lawrence O'Donnell, "What is your response to Donald Trump's latest attack?" Tribe said, "Well, it's really hard to know where to begin. He's obviously unhinged. He has no idea what he's talking about. He just thinks that slinging around, frankly, we'll say baloney, about the people at Harvard and other institutions will somehow substitute for taking the law into account. He has been throwing everything he can at Harvard, and courts have put a stop to it. This case involves Trump's attempt to tell Harvard that it can no longer host foreign students. Now, that's crazy. There's no legal basis for it. He's talking about information that he would like about students. He wants to know details about what they say, what they think. That's a violation of the First Amendment. Obviously, this is a president who hates intellect, who despises the symbol of excellence in the world of higher education around the world. He thinks he can score points by attacking Harvard. Now, this comes off the heels, and we talked about it last week, 99% of the professors and the faculty at Harvard and other Ivy League schools are liberal. It is a completely partisan outlet. And as we talked about with former Congressman Joe Sempolinski, as a not-for-profit, you do have some responsibilities to stay nonpartisan, and Harvard has not done so. And this kind of aligns with it, and I think you're going to find this interesting, funny, and scary at the same time as Trump talks about investing those billions into trade schools. Generation Z can code TikTok in their sleep, but can't cook rice without a YouTube tutorial. Gen Z is flocking to something called Adulting 101. Desperate to learn what previous generations might call common sense, such things as how to do laundry, budgeting for rent, or navigating a grocery store without Googling, quote, what is a turnip? I don't know how to change a tire. I don't have a car at all. I don't know how to sew. I don't know how to do a lot of things other than cooking, admitted Eldhen Garcia, a freshman at Canada's Toronto Metropolitan University. I think it's so important that children are taught financial literacy. A lot of stuff involves money. That is true. A lot of stuff does involve money. He's not alone. Canadian colleges like the University of Waterloo are stepping in to teach the basics with online toolkits like Adulting 101, which covers everything from healthy relationships to how not to set your kitchen on fire. There's a lot of things that are missed in education about when you actually become an adult, echoed Bella Hudson, a third-year TMU student. I do wish they had classes that taught how to manage yourself and manage your life. What's cooking is a cultural reckoning, according to Jean Twenge, a psychology professor at San Diego State University and author of Generations. Today's 20-somethings are hitting adulthood with empty toolboxes. Kids are growing up less independent. They're less likely to learn how to do adult things as high school students when they get to university, and they still don't know. We send them off to adulthood without skills. If they're not learning how to make decisions on their own and solve problems, that can be challenging. Twenge blames helicopter parenting and extended adolescence, made worse by rising number of young adults living with mom and dad. Quote, you are just more likely to be financially dependent on your parents for longer. New York City high schools are failing their students, not academically, but practically. New York City 10th grader Zach Littner wrote in a post to the Post on Monday, until the 60s, New York City high schoolers learned to cook, clean, and sew as part of their standard curriculum. In 2025, they'd be lucky if they knew how to do their laundry. And remember, why do I bring this up? This is important. These young people can vote. These young people are easily manipulated by the grown-ups in the room, meaning the faculty and staff at these universities, these faculty and staff that encourage this anti-Semitic behavior, encourage this radicalization, because they are in this kind of arrested development, in this extended adolescence. So when the parent figure, the professor or staff member, takes them under their wing and pushes this radicalization, it's very easy for young people to succumb to that. But now they are not prepared, coming from their own mouth, they're not prepared for adulthood. Yes, and I do think there's something to be said about home economic classes, some financial studies. I do think that would be a great move by the education system. They said the long-lost home economics class, ditched during the women's liberation movement, left behind crucial life lessons for all genders. Today's students, he argues, are launched into adulthood with no idea how to fold a fitted sheet or roast a chicken. Well, I would say the folding a fitted sheet, that one's not fair, I think. Many of us struggle with that. What today's youth need are Adulting 101 classes. A lack of these skills makes youth feel adrift once they enter what you would call the real world. What you're experiencing is normal. A lot of your peers are going through the same thing at the same time, she told students like Garcia. And while she supports universities offering help, Twenge says the real fix starts earlier. Limiting kids' freedoms and not teaching them practical skills is doing them a disservice. Because whether it's interest rates or ironing a shirt, ignorance isn't bliss, It's expensive. I thought you'd find that very interesting on the heels of so much about the education system. We've got a few things here about Biden. Has anybody read the book Original Sin in this audience? If so, I would like to know what you think. We're going to talk about it because Jake Tapper has been making the rounds. I know a lot of people are outraged that he is now profiting off of what I think you could call the greatest scandal, perhaps in presidential history, which is the covering up of Biden's mental decline. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking.
It's the 2025 Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta, a day full of fun for all ages. Register at watkinsglen.com/waterfront festival. Hope that boat is sturdy for the big day, June 14th.
When migraine strikes, do you question the trade-offs of treating? Ubrelvy is another option. It works fast, and most have migraine pain relief within 2 hours. You can treat it anytime, anywhere. Tell your doctor all medicines you take. Don't take if allergic or with strong CYP3A4 inhibitors. Get help right away for allergic reactions like trouble breathing, face, mouth, tongue, or throat swelling, which may occur hours to days after. Side effects include nausea and sleepiness. Migraine pain relief starts with you. Learn how AbbVie could help you save on Ubrelvy.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. And how can we help like that in our small businesses, not to sound cliche, but are the backbone of our community? Let's talk about thanks, as always, to you, the viewers, for sending in your texts and your voicemails. Now we go to a comment. This is from John in Elmira. Make sure to catch Frankly Speaking only on AM Big Fox News WYDC or visit our website at WYDCTV.com.
Catch Twin local news and weather by visiting WYDCTV.com. We've got daily and weekly weather forecast, question of the day, things to do, and more. WYDCTV.com, your website for everything Twin Tiers local.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we
Oops, there we go. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. So have you had an opportunity to read Original Sin, the new book by Jake Tapper? He's been making the rounds, being interviewed, people calling him out, and rightfully so, for his lack of coverage. Now, his whole excuse has been humility, and I know I should have done more. So to think that they covered up Biden's mental decline and now making big money on their lack of this coverage, on not doing their job. Well, Jake Tapper was on Piers Morgan's show. And Piers compared the efforts to prop up Biden, calling it akin to the 1972 burglary at the Democrat National Committee headquarters that eventually forced Richard Nixon to resign. Morgan said, Joe Biden is not Richard Nixon, and the hiding and cover-up of his deterioration is not Watergate. I'm not entirely sure I agree, Jake, with that conclusion. So it was actually Jake, who compared it to Watergate. Jake Tapper noted that he considers the Biden health cover-up an entirely separate scandal from Watergate, but a scandal nonetheless. But I see, here's the problem. In their mind, the scandal is the people surrounding Joe Biden covering this up, not the fact that they refused to report on it in the media. The media is very much a part of this scandal. Tapper saying it is a scandal, it is without question, and maybe even worse than Watergate in some ways, adding because Richard Nixon was in control of his faculties when he was not drinking. Okay, it's a weird little dig to get in there. He insisted that he and co-author Alex Thompson didn't mean to exonerate by concluding the Biden scandal was not Watergate. The only reason that we have the Watergate thing is because we quote Archibald Cox, who was a Watergate investigator, talking about how powerful the presidency is and how presidents get surrounded by people who have a vested interest in keeping that president propped up. This is an entirely separate scandal, maybe even worse. I think some of the criticism is fair, to be honest, said Tapper. That is criticism of the media's lack of coverage. But you've heard me say this on the program before. I do think it's one of the biggest, if not biggest, scandals in presidential history. Asked point blank by Morgan if he, Jake Tapper, owed the American people an apology, Tapper responded, I feel like I owe the American people an acknowledgement that I wish I had covered the story better. Or how about it all? Or how about not attacking, who was it, Laura Trump, when she mentioned what we all had, which were concerns about Biden's health. At the time, he tried to suggest that she didn't care about young people with a stutter. It was an act of desperation. But again, now they're not owning up to it, but they are saying a little bit of how they should have covered it more. Well, the damage is done, but now they're making political hay off of it. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. You guys went quiet on me. No comments this morning, but a lot of waves. Thank you. We've got a lot more to discuss, running just a tad bit late. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
From laminate and vinyl to tile and wood, Floor & Decor has more options for pros, homeowners, and anyone looking for the right look at the right price. Your next beautiful space is at Floor & Decor.
This was our last chance to show who our son was. I can't say enough about pre-planning. When you are in those moments, you are not thinking clearly.
We showed up for the remembrance, and we walked in, and we just, wow.
It was arranged perfectly. Yeah. I certainly could not have done that in that moment. So to have those pre-conversations, it's really important.
Visit carpentersphillipsflint.com to learn more about our family-owned funeral homes.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the southern tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. As I mentioned, coming up in just a little bit in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with representatives from the World Heritage Student Exchange, foreign exchange students, so don't miss out on that. Let's go to a viewer comment. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. Is it any wonder why our young adults want government running their lives and making their decisions for them when this is largely what they've been exposed to in our schools? That's a very great point. That's why they kind of want this socialism. It's what they've been exposed to, as that article said. They need to take classes on adulting, is what they call it. Doing what you and I would call maybe common sense, would be learning common sense, I should say, or day-to-day issues that you face as an adult. I'll continue. Frankly, I witnessed firsthand while working at a community college. If I didn't know better, I would have thought some classrooms were accommodating daycare kids, complete with candy. And no, it wasn't for early childhood education courses. Completely different. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that article did not surprise me or shock me. I think it's almost expected, but there is a vested interest by the political people to keep these kids. This kind of arrested development, as it's called, to keep them in need of government help, support, or making them rely on their professors who have radicalized them in so many instances. So you raise a very good point. Thank you for sending that message in. Back to the book Original Sin. We learned that Joe Biden's aides were willing to do, quote, undemocratic things to cover up the former president's mental decline and keep him in power for another 4 years. Biden's team of unelected staffers felt justified in, quote, picking up the slack for the faltering commander-in-chief and shielding him from the public because they viewed President Trump as an existential threat to democracy. This is according to the book Original Sin. So a threat to do undemocratic things. Think about that statement. Undemocratic things to save, in their mind, democracy. Interesting. Quote, who would have been running the White House in a second Biden term? Asked Shannon Bream from Fox News, asking the co-author, Alex Thompson, after knowing that he quoted a longtime Biden aide in the book, quote, basically admitting he shouldn't be running again. Well, this person went on to say that when you're voting for a president, you're voting for the aides around him, the author said. But these aides were not even Senate-confirmed aides. These are White House aides. They were unelected people. That's when Bream highlighted a passage from Thompson's book where one anonymous aide argued Biden, quote, just had to win, and then he could disappear for 4 years. He'd only have to show proof of life every once in a while. His aides could pick up the slack. Because we learned that they were talking about even putting him in a wheelchair if he won a second term. But they knew they couldn't do that beforehand because of the optics. If you believe, and I think a lot of these people do sincerely believe that Donald Trump was and is an existential threat to democracy, you can rationalize anything, including sometimes doing undemocratic things, which I think is what the person is talking about, said Thompson. So to protect democracy, because they have this unhinged feeling that Trump is a threat to democracy, you do undemocratic things. But we've seen that. We've seen that from activist judges, politicians. In his book, Thompson referred to the small group of people in Biden's inner circle running the White House as the Politburo, knowing that the term was also used by some within the administration. The small, tight-knit group include top Biden aides Mike Donnellan, Steve Ricchetti, and Bruce Reed, as well as First Lady Jill Biden and the president's scandal-scarred son, Hunter. That group was making they were the ultimate decision makers. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. I don't want to get too much into it, but we do have to take another short break. Man, this program is going quickly this morning. It seems like we just started, and here we are wrapping up our number one. So stay with us. This is, Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. We'll be right back.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
My moderate severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. Now I have Skyrizi.
I've got places to go and I'm feeling free. Controlling my Crohn's means everything to me. Control is everything to me.
And now I'm back in the picture. Feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks with Skyrizi, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements. Skyrizi helped visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. And with Skyrizi, many were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 3 years.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or UC.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's disease. Skyrizi is also approved for ulcerative colitis.
Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio, wrapping up our #1. Wrapping up on the note that we just talked about, that former Biden aide admitted the staff felt justified doing undemocratic things to stop existential threat Donald Trump. That's according to Alex Thompson, who was on Fox News. Ex-Obama aide and co-host of Pod Save America admitted to Jon Stewart that he withheld his concerns about President Biden's physical decline during the 2024 campaign. This is John Lovett. He told Stewart that his fellow Pod Save America host, John Favreau, that he didn't want to publicly voice his concern over Biden's declining health because he wanted him to blanking win. I remember feeling I want to talk about this as a huge liability. To talk about this is something Joe Biden can overcome, but I'm not going to do that. I think Joe Biden must drop out. He is too old to be president. Because I didn't want he should have said that is what he's saying. I think Joe Biden must drop out. He is too old to be president. Why didn't he say that? Because I didn't know exactly what was going on behind the scenes. But B, if Joe Biden is the candidate, I want him to blanking win. He claimed he kept his concerns to himself to avoid, quote, having the words we're saying taken out of context and all of a sudden be part of the case against Joe Biden from the right. That would use any person criticizing Joe Biden from the left as a weapon against him. So it was about being honest about Joe Biden's age as a liability, while knowing that if he is the nominee, I want to be clear that I thought it was important to make sure we did everything we could to reelect him. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in the next hour. We do have some updates on the Democrat Party in general. I've got some New York State issues that we need to get to. As I mentioned, in the next hour, we're going to talk to representatives from World Heritage Student Exchange, a foreign exchange program. You'll get to learn how you can be a part of this program. And we're also going to hear from student Emma LaMontagne and her host family, Aaron and Amanda Manchester, as well as friend of Frankly Speaking, Lisa Trosha. So that's coming up in the next hour. We'll be reading your comments, keeping track of your waves. How are we doing on time here? We're doing just fine. Yeah, a couple things here about the Democrat Party, a little bit more about Original Sin, that book. We're also going to talk about the Democrat Party in general, and then we have some New York State issues and updates. And then a little bit here about the Trump administration, a new report about Doge, all of that, and much more. As always, if you are new to the program, you see that number on the bottom of the screen. You can reach out at any time with your comments, or we have our wave counter. That's for in-person waves as they walk by the studio, or those that send a wave emoji or say wave or say good morning, whatever the case may be. We want you to be a part of the discussion and be a part of the program. So when we come back, a little bit more about Original Sin and all those other topics that we've been discussing this morning. Weigh in on it. 607-358-3131. I would love to hear from you. We'll be right back with hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking after this.
William Mattar has a reputation for being a good guy.
Because I am a good guy.
For being focused on motor vehicle accident cases.
Because I focus on motor vehicle accidents.
For fighting for his clients.
Because I fight for my clients.
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, it matters who you hire. It matters in the experience as well as the results. Call William Mattar, Visit WilliamMattar.com.
Crispy hot hash browns, sweet savory McGriddles, refreshingly cool iced coffee. Oh, don't mind me, just doing my morning affirmations. Crispy hot hash browns, sweet savory McGriddles.
Mix and match an Egg McMuffin, Sausage McMuffin with egg, or Sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles. Get any two for just $5 and pair them with $1.99 any size iced coffee.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
When you think swimming pools, think Hesselson's. Hesselson's offers expert advice, professional service, and a complete line of chemicals and accessories. Replacement liners, motors and pumps, automatic vacuums, skimmers, ladders, steps, and more. Hesselson's has it all. Do you have a chemical question? Come in for Hesselson's free computerized water analysis and the widest selection of chlorine and specialty chemicals. With Hesselson's help, you can clean up any pool problem and swim in sparkling clean water. Let Hesselson's show you how easy it can be to take care of your swimming pool. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I am your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer. Good morning. Well, good morning. Hey, the sun is shining. Yes, it is. Thank you for that. We've got a lot to cover in this hour. I just wanted to say a big thank you. I wanted to mention this because some people have reached out on this program wanting updates on what we're doing as a tribute for Dwayne Eddy, the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer that was born here in Corning. I've given you a couple of quick updates on it, but on Sunday, I was asked to speak to the Dwayne Eddy Circle, which is what you would consider the fan club. They've been actually around for 50 years. They're celebrating 50 years as a fan club, as the Circle on Sunday. They asked me to speak. I'm a proud member of the Circle. I should note that. They asked me to speak and give an update. They were kind enough to give me about 5 minutes during their online convention. A lot of people from the United Kingdom, from all over the world on this convention. And I got to talk a little bit about our website, corningtwang.com. Twang, of course, the sound that Dwayne Eddy created. Corning Twang, I would recommend that you go to it. If you want to donate to our project, you can do so there, corningtwang.com, and then you can be a part of this tribute to Dwayne Eddy. We're going to have a nice program, so if you donate, your name will be put in the program, kind of a little collector's item. We're going to hopefully raise enough, not just to pay for the marker, which needs to be paid for, but also perhaps to get some entertainment around the event. It is going to be later, kind of early fall. I'm going to get you all those details to anybody who want to attend the unveiling of the memorial, if you will, or the tribute to Dwayne Eddy. If you have any ideas of how we should celebrate the unveiling of the marker, the historic marker, I would love to hear your thoughts. I know Dwayne's family is going to come down for the event. I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you again to the Dwayne Eddy Circle for letting me speak on Sunday. I know we have some of the members that watch this program, and it's a long time coming. It's taken too long, but Corning finally recognizing Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, guitar legend, Dwayne Eddy. So if you would like to donate or just find out more about Dwayne's time in Corning and the surrounding areas, go to Corning Twang, Twang, corningtwang.com. We're again trying to raise enough funds. You can find out where to donate there to support the marker project. And I'd really appreciate your help. All right. I see some comments coming in. Thank you. We'll get to those after the next segment. And after that, we'll be hearing from World Heritage Student Exchange. But first, we're learning more about the scandal of covering up Biden's mental decline. Author Sam Harris said on Saturday on a podcast called Making Sense that the cover-up of then-President Joe Biden's cognitive abilities was understandable because he would prefer Biden serve in a coma over evil President Donald Trump running the country. At least they're being honest with you at this point. Harris said he clearly understands the issues as well as he ever did. He's just not a fluid speaker and less fluid by the hour, right? That is neurologically speaking. That is an intelligible claim to make about a person. That's what I assumed was true. Because of how effective this cover-up was, I no longer believe that to have been true. Right. I think it is quite possible that he was just checked out to a degree that I did not suspect at the time. But to close the loop on this whole scandal, even that is preferable to me and to, I think, many Democrats than having someone who we consider to be genuinely evil doing genuinely 100% proposed to serving himself in the office of the presidency. So again, quote, I would rather have a president in a coma where the duties of the presidency are executed by a committee of just normal people, right? So that's the choice that many of us believed was before us. And so therefore, not much materially changes once you reveal just how insane and despicable this cover-up of Biden's infirmities actually was. James Carville, over the weekend, said that former President Joe Biden is one of the most tragic figures in modern American history because he refused to withdraw early enough from the election. So they keep putting the blame on Biden. Now, keep in mind, if you're surrounded by yes men and women, and they all tell you you're sharp as a tack, like Chuck Schumer said on numerous media outlets, numerous media outlets, why would Biden ever consider dropping out if he is being propped up? I mean, to blame Biden for the cover-up when it is people like James Carville, it's the people on the left, and then specifically in the media that cover this up that are to blame. But this is what James Carville had to say. I cannot begin to express how tragic this is. He's one of the most accomplished Americans since World War II. If you just look at what he did as chairman of the Judiciary, Foreign Relations, Vice President, and you look at the tragedies of his life and distress that he's exhibited, and he's a well-liked, very admirable person, and he made one colossal mistake. And the Democrats made a colossal mistake by going along with it. And that is staying in the race until July 21st, 2024. And it breaks my heart. It's just so sad. Joe Biden on New Year's Day of 2024 stood as a titan of modern American history. He's a man that deserved everything that we could give him other than re-election. We pretty much know the parameters of what happened, but there's plenty of specifics left. It's pretty much the saddest blanking thing you could imagine. So from a titan to, I guess, a pariah. But this is kind of the beginning, according to the Washington Post in a way, or the Atlantic, of an upcoming Democratic civil war by Jonathan Chait, saying that the civil war was broken out among the Democrat wonks because they can't agree on an agenda. They can't agree. Well, it's kind of like, and I've talked about this numerous times, but it's kind of like when the quote-unquote powers that be in the Republican Party kept telling us the only way we can win is with more moderates. And they said, no, the only way we can win is with McCain. The only way we can win is with Romney. And then it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back when we were told that Jeb Bush was the only way to defeat Hillary Clinton. And I think the average Republican said enough is enough. I think the Democrat Party is going through that a little bit here as you see the popularity of AOC and Bernie Sanders rise. You see this kind of far left radicalism becoming more mainstream. Now, many think, and I think rightfully so, that is a losing strategy. That is what cost them in November, but others think that they need to become more radical. Now they're struggling with the debate over their buzzwords. We talked about this a little bit last week, but the Washington Post did quite a lengthy piece on it, saying maybe it's using the words oligarchs instead of rich people, or referring to people experiencing food insecurities rather than Americans going hungry, or equity in place of equality, or justice-involved populations instead of prisoners. I forgot that was one. Justice-involved populations. That is the official left term for prisoners. As Democrats wrestle with who to be in the era of President Trump, a growing group of party members, especially centrists, are reviving the argument that Democrats need to rethink the words they use to talk with the voters whose trust they need to regain. They contend that liberal candidates too often use language from elite, highly educated circles that suggests the speakers consider themselves smart and virtuous, while casting implied judgment on those who speak more plainly. Hardly a formula for winning people over, they say. Yeah, and this is a part of that kind of lecturing that they did during the campaign, that if you, rightfully so, complained about not being able to put groceries, food on your table because you couldn't afford it under Biden's policies, they laughed, mocked, and ridiculed you, saying that you're just not smart enough to understand the economic numbers because the economy is actually doing really great. Isn't that interesting that it was actually doing really great, they would lecture us, but now that Trump's in office, they're saying the complete opposite, that Trump has ruined the economy. They're so predictable, but I'll continue. They contend that liberal candidates too often use language from elite, highly educated circles that suggests the speaker considers them smart. Okay, that's where we're at. The latest debate is in part also a proxy for the bigger battle over what the Democrats' identity should be in the aftermath of the devastating losses, a landslide victory for Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Some words are just too Ivy League tested terms, said Senator Ruben Gallego. I'm going to, we'll say, make some people mad by saying this, but social equity, why do we say that? Why don't we say we want you to have an even chance? Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear said, I believe that over time, and probably for well-meaning reasons, Democrats have begun to speak like professors and started using advocacy speak that was meant to reduce stigma, but also remove the meaning and emotion behind the words, citing such examples as using substance abuse disorder to refer to addiction. It makes Democrats or candidates using this speech sound like they're not normal. It sounds simple, but what the Democrat Party needs to do is be normal and sound normal. Now, other Democrats and progressives strongly disagree, saying the party's problem can hardly be traced to a few terms that they say are used by activists far more than by actual Democratic politicians. There are good reasons for using non-prejudice language and seeking new ways to be sensitive to those who have suffered discrimination, they say, and only bad reasons for using them. We are simply asking people to consider the language they are using as we move toward shared goals, said Derry Hall, Executive Vice President of Fenton Communications, a progressive communication firm. It is important to acknowledge the human element with populations and to recognize how they identify themselves. Language evolves, it always has. The divides are not clear-cut, but some Democrats are emphasizing a need to embrace centrist, common-sense ideas in plain-spoken ways, while others say the key is to trumpet progressive, inclusive policies that fit the angry populist mood. And we're going to kind of tie this in because AOC has become popular on this progressive wave. Recent years have seen a pattern of progressives embracing new terms that conservatives turn against. Republicans have long excelled at using such politically correct terms as woke, critical race theory, and gender fluid to depict Democrats as being out of touch. Allison Prash, who teaches rhetoric, politics, and culture at the University of Wisconsin, said, honestly, Democrats trip over themselves in an attempt to say exactly the right thing. Republicans maybe aren't so concerned about saying exactly the right thing, so it may appear more authentic to some voters. Republicans have a willingness to paint with very broad brushstrokes, where Democrats are more concerned with articulating multiple perspectives, and because of that, they can be hampered by the words and phrases they utilize. Gallego derided the term Latinx, if you recall that, which avoids the gender binary suggested by Latinos and Latinas as stupid, saying few Hispanics use the term. He also recalled once being told not to describe his own background as poor, but rather as economically disadvantaged. Not every person we meet is going to have the latest update on what the proper terms are. It doesn't make them sexist or homophobic or racist. Maybe they are a little outdated, but they have a good heart. Beshear said liberals in genuine efforts to be more sensitive have drained the power from many words. Saying someone has defeated substance abuse disorder, he said, minimizing the sheer human triumph of beating addiction. Decrying food insecurity fails to convey the tragedy of hungry children. And the list goes on and on. So your thoughts? Now, Elise Slotkin, Democrat from Michigan, said, what's your hat? Was in describing someone wearing a Make America Great Again hat. He was hoping for a Democrat message that would fit onto a cap, she said, and she realized there was no obvious answer. So a voter coming up to her and saying, what's your hat? She recalled speaking to a room full of skeptical Teamsters before the November election. I just said, hey, you blankers, I don't want to hear another blanking word about Donald Trump and what he has done for you. They love it. To me, that is a different way to enter the room. So this cussing is another thing that they are encouraging here, thinking that you're, I guess, more common if you're cussing and dropping words like oligarch and the like. So this is a bigger problem, a bigger theme in the Democrat Party. This is something we kind of talked about with Joe Sempolinski on Friday and the conversation we had before. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the coming Democratic Civil War, and then a little bit later on we're going to talk with World Heritage Student Exchange representatives. So stay with us. I see a lot of comments coming in. We'll get to those when we return. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Your tap water is delicious. I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system. What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
Driving is dangerous, but some people just can't seem to help themselves. There's the steering wheel propper, the sneak-a-peeker, the fast roller, the nightlighter. And it's not long until they become the fender benderer, the got-a-ticketer, the veering off the road, the driver who kills someone. Enough with the phones already. Just put them down.
When migraine strikes, do you question the trade-offs of treating? Ubrelvy is another option. It works fast, and most have migraine pain relief within 2 hours. You can treat it anytime, anywhere. Tell your doctor all medicines you take. Don't take if allergic or with strong CYP3A4 inhibitors. Get help right away for allergic reactions like trouble breathing, face, mouth, tongue, or throat swelling, which may occur hours to days after. Side effects include nausea and sleepiness. Migraine pain relief starts with you. Learn how AbbVie could help you save on Ubrelvy.
If you or one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments, shall we? AOC will never be a leader. She doesn't have the intellect. She's just the loudest one in the room. I would say don't take her lightly. I mean, just because someone doesn't have the quote-unquote intellect, you could argue with his new book that Biden didn't have the intellect, and yet he became president. So I'm not sure if I would agree with you wholeheartedly, because if you look at a recent poll that came out, AOC would trounce Senator Chuck Schumer in a primary, as the Democrat leader is bleeding support, meaning Schumer, from his party and Jewish voters, according to a stunning new poll. Socialist Ocasio-Cortez leads 5-term incumbent Chuck Schumer by a 54 to 33% difference among likely Democrat voters in New York City. We may talk a little bit more about that, but I don't know. I would say if you take her lightly, that might be to your own detriment. Comment from a different viewer. Clearly, Democrats have no idea what democracy is. Would that be another failure of the education system? Maybe an intended failure, if you will. Comment from a different viewer. Make a great day. Well, thank you. I will try to make a great day. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning. Good morning. I remember a video of Biden and his wife Jill sitting on a stage after one of his rallies in 2020. Biden kept saying, "We can't have 4 more years of George." His wife was whispering to him to say, "Trump, Trump." He was clearly having mental issues then. Jill Biden, shame on you. What a horrible wife. If you really love someone, you would not put them through that circus. Yeah, because look, they've now made, because of Jill's decision to keep him propped up. They have now made him, at least the eyes of Democrats, to what James Carville said at one time a titan in politics, now kind of a negative history on him. What is seen as really, he is seen now as kind of like the enemy in a way, or the destroyer of the Democrat Party, maybe. So you raise a good point. Comment from Mark: that cover-up on Joe Biden didn't fool the American people. We saw it and heard it. So the people that tried to hide it should be prosecuted. Yeah, and remember, I mean, they would call you a conspiracy theorist, a tinfoil hatter, called you so many names if you said, listen, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen these videos with my own eyes. Didn't matter. All right, comment. And they would criticize you, just like they criticize you if you said you'd struggle to put food on the table or to feed your family. All right, Ken writes in, obviously my belief that the legacy media delivers the political news honestly is non-existent. It is also obvious that most journalists, like most of us on either side of the political spectrum, are driven by monetary enrichment. It is no surprise to me that the legacy media pundits report political news the way their bosses and the Democrats want them to. That is how they get and keep those huge salaries. Then, when a Democrat like Biden is no longer an asset to the Democrats, they're allowed to throw that person under the bus. And being enriched by the loyal sheeple by writing a book that they will dutifully buy is a perfect way for the journalists to continue enriching themselves. As the only thing Ilhan Omar honestly said, it's all about the Benjamins, baby. Thank you, Ken, for that comment. Yes, to think that they are now releasing a book on what is their failed job, the failed 4 years of not covering, and before really covering Biden's decline. Now Jake Tapper making money off of that. As I mentioned, Jonathan Chait from The Atlantic said the coming Democratic civil war, a civil war has broken out among the Democratic wonks, saying its critics decry it as a scheme to infiltrate the Democrat Party by corporate-aligned interests, a gambit by center-right think tanks and libertarian donors, and an anti-government manifesto for the MAGA right and the historic and moral equivalent of the Rockefellers and Carnegie's grinding workers into the dust. The disputes that tear apart the left tend to involve wrenching, dramatic issues where the human stakes are clear: Gaza, policing, immigration. And so that is more than a little odd that progressive activists, columnists, and academics are now ripping one another into shreds over such seemingly arcane and technical matters as zoning rules, permitting, and the Paperwork Reduction Act. The intensity of the argument suggests that the participants are debating not merely the mechanical details of policy, but the very nature and purpose of the Democrat Party. And in fact, if you look closely beneath the squabbling, that is exactly what they are fighting over. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this, ways that they think that they can perhaps overcome it. But we do have our guests coming in from the World Heritage Student Exchange Program. If you are looking to get a foreign exchange student before next year's school year, now is the time to do it, because you have to go through the paperwork, you have to learn about the process, you have to pick a student, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why you may say, well, it's almost the end of the school year. Yes, we're looking already to help you get an exchange student for next school year. So that's coming up when we return. Please stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Your tap water is delicious. I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system. What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
Driving is dangerous, but some people just can't seem to help themselves. There's the steering wheel propper, the sneaker peeker, the fast roller, the nightlighter. And it's not long until they become the fender benderer, the got a ticketer, the veering off the road, the driver who kills someone. Enough with the phones already. Just put them down.
Migraine strikes. Do you question the trade-offs of treating? Ubrelvy is another option. It works fast, and most have migraine pain relief within 2 hours. You can treat it anytime, anywhere. Tell your doctor all medicines you take. Don't take if allergic or with strong CYP3A4 inhibitors. Get help right away for allergic reactions like trouble breathing, face, mouth, tongue, or throat swelling, which may occur hours to days after. Side effects include nausea and sleepiness. Migraine pain relief starts with you. Learn how AbbVie could help you save on Ubrelvy.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and this is the Steuben County Office for the Aging section of our program. Steuben County Office for the Aging, committed to maximizing quality of life, safety, and independence. And in the studio this morning, we're going to be talking about worldheritage.org. Thanks to all our guests for being in the studio. Let's start. That was good. That was very nice. I don't normally get a woohoo to start off my program. So let's start just to set the scene, because this is about student exchange. Where are you from, Emma?
I'm from France.
From France? A specific part of France?
From Marseille. It's in the south of France.
Okay. So what do you think of our area here?
I think it's pretty, but there's not a lot to do.
Not a lot to do? That's fair, right? That's a fair assessment.
It is fair.
Why did, and I'm going to ask each of you, why did you want to be a part of World Heritage and this organization?
Because why did I want to an exchange year? Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to experiment the American dream.
Oh, yeah.
And to be bilingual and speaking English and discover like a new culture, new country and everything. Yeah.
Why did you guys get involved? You didn't think I was going to ask you questions, just her.
I think for the learning experience about other cultures and getting to know individuals from other areas of the world.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we love to travel and see different parts of the world, and when this opportunity came with Emma, it's just been so great to learn all about the French culture.
Yeah.
And foods.
Have you had a favorite food here?
I love bagels here. The bagels.
The bagels.
Bagels.
Oh, bagels.
Yeah.
I thought you said pickles. I was like, that's the weirdest. The bagels are good. The bagels are good. Do you feel like you've seen the American dream?
I don't know. Kind of.
Yeah.
It was not like I was expecting, but yeah.
How was it different than what you were expecting?
I don't know how to explain that, but I don't know really. It's like something you can feel.
Okay.
You cannot explain it.
Did you think everything was going to be like the movies?
Yeah, and it's not.
No.
Yeah. Like the yellow bus, like
it
was like something that you thought was going to be really cool, and then you realized like.
Oh, the school bus.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is interesting how you come in with a preconceived notion of how things are going to be, and then it's like, oh wait, that's smaller, or that's a little different. Yeah.
What was it about seeing a school bus on a movie that made you think that was going to be something special?
I don't know. In France, it's not not fancy, but it's like boring. Okay. And I feel like the yellow bus is cool.
Okay. Have you had a favorite part so far?
I think when I met my friends here and my host family, I think it was my favorite part.
Okay.
I don't know, they've done everything for me.
Oh, how nice was that? How do you feel like this, and I know I've asked this question before on interviews like this, is this going to be a lifelong relationship?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Better.
I can answer for them.
Yeah, I mean, we've just clicked, and we've traveled all over together, and we're just like, we're definitely a family.
Yeah. Has there been a favorite location you've got to visit?
Yeah. Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I
no big deal.
I know. I thought she was going to say, I thought Hammondsport was beautiful. But no, Puerto Rico, sure.
They have been all over. Tell them all the places you guys have traveled so far.
We went to New York City, Puerto Rico, Canada, Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee.
Yeah,
and then we're going
this
weekend.
Yeah, we're going to Washington, D.C.
in Baltimore.
Oh, that's wow.
Yeah, a lot of traveling.
Is there anything
Florida? Did we say Florida?
Yeah. Is there anything you want to see before you go?
I guess I saw everything I wanted to go. I didn't even know I wanted to go to Puerto Rico. So.
Yeah.
Maybe Hawaii, but that's
Hawaii.
Oh, maybe next time.
Wow,
Next
okay.
time.
Yeah.
I'm going to be their exchange student
Yeah.
next year, so
Wow.
actually.
That is wild. Was there anything that you missed the most from back home?
Probably my family and my friends.
Sure.
Yeah, just my French routine, maybe.
Okay. I'll move on from that. What has your responsibilities been as host parents?
So really, our main responsibility is to make sure that she has a safe home and 3 meals a day, getting her to any events. I mean, I really look at it as just keeping her mind, her heart, and her body safe.
Sure.
And just keeping her happy and giving her all the experiences. I mean, we have been fortunate to bring her all over, but just to spend time together and build traditions as a little family.
What is your responsibility as an exchange student?
Ooh, good one.
Ooh. I don't know.
No?
Like being part of our family, what's
Yeah.
your responsibility?
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
being a part of the family.
I don't know how to.
Yeah, it's a
what
tough
to
one.
answer to that.
Well,
I don't know.
Some school requirements.
Yep.
Yeah. I have to keep good grades.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's fair.
And I have some rules to respect.
Yes.
But
Yeah. Their role is to come here and immerse themselves in our culture as much as possible. So, they do have the agencies that, doesn't want them to be on the phone with their families day and
I remember
night.
that,
They
right.
really want them to integrate with their host families and integrate into the school activities, friends, and that sort of thing. And you've done a great job with that.
I want to find out more about school in a minute, but since we're asking everybody's responsibilities, Elisa, what is World Heritage, their responsibilities in all this?
So we coordinate getting the students placed with a host family, and if there are any issues, sometimes that happens when the kids come over and it's not a good fit with the placement. We will rehome them, so to speak, and find a family that's a good fit. And it's just making sure that the host family and the students are all happy and all safe, because my responsibility is not just to Emma, but it's also looking out for the families as well. So they each have a relationship with myself, and then collectively we have a relationship together.
And how much time commitment does this involve?
On my behalf?
Yeah, or anyone.
I
can
mean,
speak.
I check in with them regularly. They're so great. I hear from them probably more than they hear from me. They're sharing pictures, and that's what I love, because it really is such a good connection. And then we will do an activity before she goes home with some of the other students that are placed with me.
Okay.
That's something that I haven't put together yet, but it's on the radar, and we're gonna, depending on your schedules, because they're so busy.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of traveling. And that's the other thing, that when a family commits to doing this, I always tell them, I want you to think, because she's got to integrate into your life, but I want people who genuinely care about giving the student a good experience. Otherwise, don't even consider it, because you don't have to do as much traveling as you guys. But I want them to know that this is a big deal for her to leave her family and her country and all of her friends. So making it a priority that, they're giving her a good experience.
And what was the process like for you as host families, the whole process to get an exchange student?
We had to fill out an application and get references, and then it was just really communicating with the coordinator, and it was pretty easy.
Yeah, they do background checks and things like that. They'll check the references. They do make sure that monetarily the families can take somebody in outside of the families, because there are a lot of extra expenses. I know we say that it's 3 square meals a day in a safe house. That is unrealistic.
It's
there
very
are
unrealistic.
there are a lot of expenses. I mean, I treat my students, and I know that you do, as if they're a part of my family. Now, the students do come over with some of their spending money, but again, that's a responsibility that we want to make sure the families are able to take on. So we look into all of that, and then there's some home visits, site visits, but and
Making
it's
sure
been
our home is safe. and-
yes. Yeah.
Well, then what would you say to people that are thinking about being a host family?
I would say absolutely do it if you're willing to take someone into your family and to ask a lot of questions and maybe talk to current host families or students to get more of a realistic view of what the year will be like.
What would you say to a student that's maybe thinking of coming over here?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And you say that trips to Puerto Rico aren't mandatory to be hosted.
Well, I mean, if I'm involved as your student next year, then yes. No, absolutely not.
So just quickly, because I know you've got to go, but how was the school experience?
That was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's so different from France. Like in France, it's just school, and here it's like pep rally, dances, like the school spirit and the sports spirit.
Yeah.
Are so
Football
different.
games and basketball games.
Yeah.
So different.
Sports.
Different. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite part of the school experience?
I guess the sports.
The sports?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What sports did you do?
Not just that I did, but also.
Oh, that you got to watch.
Yeah. Like the basketball
the sporting
games,
games and sporting events. Yeah. Okay.
And you said it's a lot different from schooling back home?
Yeah.
How so?
It's not that fun in France.
Oh.
It's just we have to focus on the grades and we don't have the like the sport in school.
Okay.
Like it's different, it's separate.
Okay. What was it like on your first day of school? Were you nervous?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even speak English at the beginning. I was alone. I didn't know anyone.
Sure.
So I was lost.
Were you more nervous for this interview?
That was my next question. That was my next question.
Sorry, Frank.
What is there an answer to that?
To what?
Which one?
Interview.
Oh, really?
Well, she said that you were really scary.
I am.
So.
Really? Okay. I'll work on that. Did you have a good time making friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you'll stay in contact with your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So you made me feel like that was a dumb question. Yeah, no kidding. Just before we go, because I know you are nervous, Lisa, where can people find out more, and if they're interested in becoming a member of this and joining World Heritage?
Yeah, so online you can fill out an application. You can reach out to me directly, and I can help place you. We do have students that we are placing right now in the system from all over the world, not just France, but and we have boys or girls. So again, we try to make sure it's a good fit, whether with sports, demographic, and all of that stuff.
I'm actually on the screen right now where people can look at some of the available students. And I mentioned the time commitment, Elisa, but how long are most students in the area for?
Yeah, so they come around September and they will stay through the end of the school year. So.
Okay, so this is kind of winding down.
Yeah, she leaves the day after graduation.
Yeah, June 28th.
They give them no time.
They don't
to
mess
kind of,
around.
yeah.
We don't talk about June, though.
No.
We don't talk about June.
No. So does the classes that you take, does this count for when you return home?
No.
Oh no. This is.
I graduated last year.
Oh, okay.
So none of my grade count.
Oh, that's
I
interesting.
feel like each country is different, too, with the requirements.
Yeah. So you're a senior?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Just before we go, what would you say to your friends and family back home?
Ooh.
That I miss them and that I love them, and I'm excited to go home to see them.
Yeah. Do you want to say that in French?
All right. Mes copains et ma famille de France, ben, je vous aime et vous manquez. J'ai hâte de vous retrouver.
You didn't curse, did you? Did you swear? Did you swear?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks for being on the show, guys. I really had a lot of fun. Was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
Am I red?
No.
No.
Okay, so that's fine.
You look normal.
Yeah, it looks great. Looks great.
Yay!
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Easy peasy.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Get yours at Current Power Sports in Pine City, New York and Wellsboro, Pennsylvania.
If you or have taken
taken Humira for moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis and still have symptoms, you don't have to settle. Ask your gastroenterologist if switching to Rinvoq is right for you. It's one of the latest treatments from the makers of Humira. Rinvoq works differently than Humira and may help. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can deliver rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission, and helps visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events: infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Rapid symptom relief and lasting steroid-free remission are possible with Rinvoq. Ask your gastroenterologist if switching to Rinvoq is right for you. You could pay as little as $0 per month.
Attention, it's the 2025 Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta, a day full of fun for all ages. Register at watkinsglen.com/waterfront festival. Hope that boat is sturdy for the big day, June 14, 2025. Race starts at 2 p.m. On your mark.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Thank you again to the representatives from the World Heritage Student Exchange for being a part of the Steuben County Office for the Aging section of our program. Again, Steuben County Office for the Aging, committed to maximizing quality of life, safety, and independence. So thank you again to Emma Lamontagne, the student, and the host family, Aaron and Amanda Manchester, and of course the representative from the World Heritage Student Exchange, our friend Elisa Trosha. Find out more at world-heritage.org. So we appreciate them being in on the program. Comments? Oh, no, we're good on comments for a moment. We were talking about the kind of Democratic Civil War, according to The Atlantic. Well, now it is being reported by the New York Times that the Democrats reportedly plan to spend $20 million as part of an elaborate plan to win back all the young men President Trump captured. According to the New York Times, top Democrat donors have been huddling it up at luxury hotels since the 2024 election in an effort to turn the tide on young men. Quote, Democrat donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels. Okay, that's one way to say money. To discuss how to win back working class voters, commissioning new projects that can read like anthropological studies of people from faraway places not being able to relate with young men. The Democrats reportedly coded the plan SAM, Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan. It's going to be a $20 million effort, according to the Times, and it aims to reverse the erosion of Democrat support among young men, especially online. It is codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, and promises investment to study the syntax, language, and contents that gain attention and go viral in these spaces. The plan even reportedly goes as far as to recommend the Democrats start buying advertisement in video games, among other things. So $20 million on that. We know that David Hogg wants to spend $20 million to primary safe Democrat incumbents. Now, one of the names being thrown around, and this is a blast from the past, and your thoughts on it, Rahm Emanuel is teasing a White House bid. The Democrat isn't hiding his political ambitions, openly considering a presidential run and positioning himself as the party's savior. And this is a part of that Democrat Civil War where he believes that the left has gone kind of quote-unquote too crazy, and that the party's brand, the Democrat brand, is now toxic and weak and woke. That's exact quotes from the former congressman. While Emanuel is coy about what he wants next for his political career, he appears to be laying the groundwork for a presidential bid. He will be the headliner at a September fish fry for Democrats in Iowa, where the party's nomination process traditionally started until 2024. The Democrat presidential field is likely to be crowded. Quote, voters will be lucky, Emanuel said. They'll have a real debate, one we didn't have back in 2024. He might also run for governor of Illinois if his friend who currently occupies that office, Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker, decides not to seek a third term in 2026. Pritzker, a billionaire with a history of self-financing his races, is also, it is being considered, running or contemplating a White House bid. I'm not sure what he's running for, but he's running for something, said former Chicago Congressman Luis Gutierrez, who served with Emanuel in the House. He has some of the best political instincts of anyone in the Democrat Party. Now, also a name that has been thrown around for potentially running again, Kamala Harris, though many speculate that she may run for governor of California, as Gavin Newsom is term limited. She took a swipe at Elon Musk and likened the Trump administration's America First policy to a 1930s-style isolationism, which many historians believe helped escape World War II. During remarks at the 2025 Australian Real Estate Conference held on the Gold Coast, the failed Democrat presidential candidate alluded to an interview Musk did with podcast titan Joe Rogan, in which the world's richest man warned that the West's empathy is being weaponized. Harris said there was someone that is very popular these days, at least in the press, who suggested that it is a sign of weakness of Western civilizations to have empathy. Imagine. No, it's a sign of strength to have some level of curiosity and concern and care about the well-being of others. I'm not going to go through the whole interview that Musk gave. Many people pointing to Harris for making the big mistake of not being on Joe Rogan's show. The former vice president said, "I do worry, frankly, about what's happening in the world right now. It's important that we remember the 1930s. It's important that we remember that history has taught us that isolationism does not equal insulation, and the importance of relationships of trust, of the importance of friendships, integrity, and honesty." Wow, is it already? I hear the corning whistle. My goodness. Well, we've got a couple other updates on this. We're going to tell you about some more speeches that were given over the weekend. I see some comments coming in. We'll read those when we come back. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Since 1983, Nissan has been assembling award-winning vehicles for you, right here in America. And we're committed to keeping our lineup affordable and free from new tariffs. That's why we've lowered MSRP on our best-selling Rogue and Pathfinder. So you can get the car you want, at the price you want, knowing Nissan is here for you at the Nissan Summer Sales Event.
Now get a low $249 per month lease on Rogue or get a low $339 per month lease on Pathfinder.
Attention, it's the 2025 Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta, a day full of fun for all ages. Register at watkinsglen.com/waterfront festival. Hope that boat is sturdy for the big day, June 14, 2025. Race starts at 2 p.m. On your mark.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go through some viewer comments. So I learned something about your character that I wouldn't have guessed. Emma thinks you're scary. Do tell. That was, I don't think you can blame me 100% for that. Emma Lamontagne from France, part of that World Heritage Student Exchange, she didn't want to do TV. English not being her first language, she was terrified to be on TV, even though we were pre-recording. So she did look at me as kind of the enemy for a little bit. But I think once it was all over, she did have a fun time doing it, and I appreciate her being on the program. But like many people, not just foreign exchange students, many people are nervous to be on TV, and she was no exception. Another comment, Rahm would be a dangerous candidate. I don't think he's ever quit working for Barack Hussein Obama. Yeah, it doesn't come as a surprise that he's considering running, though. He's been talking about it for quite some time. He's one of those perpetual candidates, if you will. Now, not that her name is being thrown around as a presidential candidate, but Hillary Clinton, according to Carol Markowitz, is back and doing what she does best, trashing women. Hillary Clinton is back. She wants to make sure we know that the basket of deplorables is also sexist. During a conversation at the 92nd Street Y in New York City last month, Clinton was asked if she had any advice for the eventual first female president of the United States. She took the opportunity to take a swipe at Republican women, saying, well, first of all, don't be a handmaiden to the patriarchy, which kind of eliminates every woman on the other side of the aisle except for a very few. Most Republican women are just handmaidens to the patriarchy, just there to support the men, according to her. Would Hillary Clinton ever do such a thing? We know the history there, but I thought this was an interesting point. We don't have time to get to all of it, but Hillary doesn't like when women don't do as they are told. Hillary always took swipe at women, so her latest comments are nothing new. The eventual female president should consider not using women as a punching bag to attain her goals. Thankfully, that president won't be Hillary Clinton. Now, also, we asked the question if the media has learned their lesson, and we all know the answer to that. Of course not. That would actually require some soul searching. But outraged critics blasted longtime 60 Minutes anchor Scott Pelley as angry and unhinged after he delivered a fear-laced tirade against President Trump during a commencement speech in North Carolina. The CBS newscaster warned Wake Forest University's graduating class that, quote, insidious fear has infiltrated schools, businesses, and homes across the nation, leaving America in a state of peril. Quote, your country needs you. The country that has given you so much is calling you. The class of 2025, your country needs you, and it needs you today. This morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching throughout schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America. If our government is, in Lincoln's phrase, of the people, by the people, for the people, then why are we afraid to speak? Ignorance works for power. Power can change the definition of the words we use to describe reality. This is an old playbook, my friends. This is nothing new. One Twitter user said Scott Pelley raged at Trump an angry, unhinged comment address at Wake Forest as he speaks openly and freely in America. The self-important sermonizing propagandist is what passes for a legacy media quote-unquote journalist. Some calling the speech a national disgrace. Others rip Pelley as a hypocrite, pointing out that his network is currently facing a $20 billion lawsuit filed by Trump over how 60 Minutes edited a sit-down interview with then Vice President and failed presidential candidate Kamala Harris last fall. Did Scott Pelley mention that 60 Minutes edited Kamala's campaign interview and they helped her answer questions? Until he does that, his credibility is zero. So no surprise there. Now, Brett Favre, on the other side of the coin, shared a post saying that Netflix is going after him for being an outspoken Trump supporter. And that's one of the reasons when we talked about Phil Robertson passing away over the weekend, why the Huffington Post felt the need to use his passing as a way to take political digs at him because he was an outspoken Trump supporter. Brett Favre appears to believe Netflix is out to get him due to his support of President Trump. The streaming service released its documentary on the Hall of Famer titled Untold, The Fall of Favre. The documentary highlights a scandal, and we know all about it. We don't need to talk about it in depth. Netflix is going after Brett Favre for being an outspoken Trump supporter. We stand with Brett Favre. Haven't you ever noticed that these scandals seem to pop up, or again, every single time a famous individual vocally supports President Trump? Brett has been under constant attack from the mainstream media, and also now today, Netflix. Tonight, a new documentary premieres attempting to tarnish his name. We all know that if he wasn't a conservative, this would not be happening right now. Was this a hit documentary because Donald Trump won the 2024 election? That has yet to be determined. With that being said, I support Brett Favre, one of the greats. We got to take a short break and wrap up, so get your last minute comments in, and we will be right back after this.
When you're online, don't forget visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
My mom's severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. Now I have Skyrizi.
I've got places to go and I'm feeling free. Control of my Crohn's means everything to me. Control is everything to me.
And now I'm back in the picture. Feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks with Skyrizi, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements. Skyrizi helped visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. And with Skyrizi, many were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 3 years.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or UC.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's disease. Skyrizi is also approved for ulcerative colitis.
Attention, it's the 2025 Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta. A day full of fun for all ages. Register at watkinsglen.com/waterfront festival. Hope that boat is sturdy for the big day, June 14th, 2025. Race starts at 2 p.m. On your mark, get
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A comment from a viewer, Mark. Hey, Mark. No matter who runs for president in the Democrat Party, they will not run the country as the party runs the country when a Democrat president is in. So you're not voting for president, you're voting for a party. Thank you very much. Chuck Schumer vowed the Democrats will vote to kill Trump's handout to billionaires budget, the one big beautiful bill act that he calls a handout to billionaires. Kind of cliche talking points, but as I mentioned earlier, AOC would trounce Chuck Schumer in a primary as the party leader, as he is bleeding support from Democrats and Jewish voters. Trump tells the Senate GOP to make the changes they want to see in the big beautiful bill. The bill will undoubtedly be the subject of multiple revisions before it makes it to the Senate floor, said Tom Tillis. There are some changes that we want to make, but we don't want to change it so much that it doesn't look the same. Trump said on Sunday, I want the Senate and the senators to make the changes they want. It will go back to the House, and we'll see if we can get them. In some cases, the changes may be something I agree with, to be honest. We had a very good response from the Senate, and I don't know how Democrats can't vote for it. I think they, meaning the Senate Republicans, are going to have changes. Some will be minor, some will be fairly significant. All right, wow. Oh, a couple last things happening as they get ready to wrap up session in Albany. Some of the things that are being looked at is updates to recycling, looking at the HEAT Act, which is a little terrifying, a bottle bill. Those are the key issues in Albany as of right now. A couple quick news stories to get to. FBI agents who covered up Hunter Biden's laptop in 2020 must not get away with it. That's a piece by Miranda Devine. You can find that for yourself at the New York Post. Social Security has removed from its rolls 12.3 million individuals listed as 120 years or older, according to DOGE. The discrepancies in the Social Security figures and the alarming ages of some of the individuals listed have garnered national attention over the last several months. As a result, in March, DOGE began to update the American people on the massive cleanup happening at Social Security. So they announced yesterday 12.3 million individuals that were listed as 120 years or older have been scrubbed from Social Security. Russia defies Trump with the largest ever drone and missile attack to the Ukraine yesterday. Kiev says more than 350 explosive drones targeted its cities overnight. But we are out of time. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you to our guests from World Heritage Student Exchange. We want to thank Emma Lamontagne. She is the student from France that joined us this morning, and also the host family, Aaron and Amanda Manchester, and also the representative, Elisa Trosha. Find out more at world-heritage.org. Thanks for joining us this morning. We'll be back every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. with Frankly Speaking. We've got some special guests lined up for you all week long, so make sure that you join us every weekday morning, starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. I look forward to it already.
Scamming seniors is a huge problem today. Worldwide, seniors lost $4.8 billion to scammers in 2024. The Steuben County Office for the Aging is here to help. Come to our seminar, Recognizing and Avoiding Financial Scams, Wednesday, June 4th at the Main Place in Hornell, New York, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Learn how to identify scams, how to protect yourself, and fraud watch tips. Also, the Steuben County Office for the Aging will provide tips on emergency preparedness, June 4th at 12 p.m. To learn more, go to steubencountiny.gov/235.
When you think swimming pools, think Hesselson's. Hesselson's offers expert advice, professional service, and a complete line of chemicals and accessories. Replacement liners, motors and pumps, automatic vacuums, skimmers, ladders, steps, and more. Hesselson's has it all. Do you have a chemical question? Come in for Hesselson's free computerized water analysis and the widest selection of chlorine and specialty chemicals. With Hesselson's help, you can clean up any pool problem and swim in sparkling clean water. Let Hesselson's show you how easy it can be to take care of your swimming pool. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.